today?
Good, but not too good for Emma.
Oh, what happened?
Her grandpa died.
Oh, and what did she say about that?
She thinks that his soul is still watching over her.
Oh boy, I see. Well, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I thought when you die, you die.
Very good. Well, you know what? Let's see what the Bible says, and then we'll find out for sure. Let's look at Genesis 2:7. We'll read that together. In Genesis chapter 2, in verse 7, Sophia, it says, "And Jehovah God went on to form the man out of dust from the ground, and to blow into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living person." And then if we look at the little star next to person, it goes down to the bottom, it says, or soul. The original Hebrew word for soul literally meant a breathing creature. So first of all, to understand this, let's remember, who was Jehovah making out of the ground here?
Adam.
That's right. And did you notice what happened? He blew the breath of life into his nostrils, and he became what?
A living person.
That's right. And what the footnote said was soul could be the same thing as person, because the soul is what is a breathing, living person or creature. So that's why it's so hard for the rest of the world to understand. Many times in the movies, they show that the soul is something that floats out of the body after it dies and turns into a spirit that keeps on watching people. But now we see what the Bible says makes it a lot more understandable, that the soul has to be something living. Let's think of one more example in the Bible about the soul. Do you remember about Noah?
Yes.
And do you remember how many people survived the flood on Noah's Ark?
8.
That's right. Well, let's see how the Bible called those 8 people that survived in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 20. 1 Peter 3:20. And it says, "Who had formerly been disobedient when God was patiently waiting in Noah's day, while the ark was being constructed, in which a few people, that is 8 souls, were carried safely through the water." So that's interesting. It even says about the 8 people that were saved on the ark, it called them 8 what here?
Souls.
That's right. Now, if a soul was what the world says it is, some ghost-like thing floating off, if the flood came, they wouldn't have needed a boat. They could have just floated off and survived. But the point is, a soul is a living, breathing, flesh and blood person. So that is why these 8 souls survived, because they were on the ark. So, you know, when we talk about these things, who do you think is behind all of this confusion, Sophia?
Satan.
I think so too. And we can think back to the first person he tried to trick. Do you remember in the Garden of Eden when he posed as a snake? What did he promise Eve would not happen to her if she ate from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and bad?
That she would not die.
That's right. But Eve did die, didn't she, from disobeying Jehovah? So now today, he's still trying to trick people into thinking that they never really die. If he can convince them that the soul is something that still keeps floating out of a dead person and living on even after they die, it would mean that they wouldn't really have to listen to God or not at all, because they would keep living. But we know that's not true. We really do die from sin. But Sophia, does that mean that we have no hope then to live again if we die?
No, we do have hope that Jehovah will resurrect us.
That's right. So let's do this. We can get together now and talk about how we can talk to Emma about the resurrection. And that will be a time when she can have a true hope of seeing her grandpa again as a living soul in the new system. Okay?
Okay.